Porterville College takes very seriously its responsibility to ensure staff and students are prepared for campus emergencies. Part 1 of today's campus safety presentation will provide a quick review of 4 initial actions and 3 armed intruder actions. Part 2 of our presentation will offer a detailed look at when and how we should evacuate buildings in an emergency. For most emergencies, the first response by staff and students to the event should be to immediately take one of these 4 initial actions. Those actions are duck and cover, shelter in place, lockdown, and evacuate building. The 4 initial actions form the foundation of a successful response to a campus emergency. How well staff and students take these actions with or without direction can be critical to the outcome of the emergency. The Porterville College Safety Team has placed initial actions informational posters in offices, classrooms, restrooms, and other locations throughout campus. To become better prepared for campus emergencies, please use these posters to review and learn the basic initial actions. You will have opportunities to practice these initial actions during upcoming campus emergency drills. Incidents involving armed intruders, including active shooters, may present situations that require more than just the initial actions. The action you should take will depend on how close you are to the armed intruder or active shooter event. If you're in a different building on campus, for example, the duck and cover and/or lockdown initial actions will apply and should be used. However, if you are face-to-face with an intruder or shooter, you must be prepared to take one of the 3 armed intruder actions. The armed intruder actions are run, hide, or fight. These actions apply to any situation where you face an armed intruder, regardless of whether the person is shooting a gun or wielding a dangerous weapon. Like the initial actions posters, armed intruder actions posters are displayed in numerous locations throughout the campus. We again ask that you use these posters to review and learn the 3 armed intruder actions so you'll be prepared to react quickly to these situations if they occur. Knowing these actions may save your life and the lives of others. In addition to the posters, a series of presentations have been developed by the Porterville College Safety Office to help you learn the initial actions and armed intruder actions. Each presentation provides a brief review of the initial actions and armed intruder actions, followed by a focused look at one of the actions. You can expect to see one presentation each month during the semester, as well as participating in one related campus-wide emergency drill each month. Our focus topic today is the evacuate building action. How will you be notified to evacuate a building? The campus fire alarm system is the primary means of informing staff and students that they need to evacuate a building. The alarm can be used when there is a fire, chemical release, or gas leak in a building. It can also be used following an event such as an earthquake or explosion that results in a collapse or potential collapse of a building. To ensure the safety of staff and students, our emergency plan requires that, following any earthquake strong enough to be felt, all buildings on campus will be temporarily evacuated so that maintenance and operations staff can inspect the building for damage. Remember, our fire alarms are evacuation alarms and can be used anytime to immediately get everyone out of the building or buildings for any reason. There are 2 primary ways the fire alarm system can be activated. Smoke and heat detectors automatically trigger the alarm system when certain conditions, such as a fire, occur. Staff, students, and others can also use manual pull stations to activate the alarms when needed. Except for testing or conducting drills, it is illegal to activate the alarm when there is no emergency. Each building on campus has its own alarm system, and an alarm activation in one building does not automatically trigger alarms in other buildings. There is, however, a master alarm panel from which campus safety personnel can activate all alarms at once. This can be used following an earthquake, for example. Case studies of mass shootings in schools and other buildings confirm that gunfire can and often will activate fire alarms. Using pull stations, armed intruders can also activate fire alarms and draw potential victims into harm's way. It is important for staff and students to recognize this potential and be prepared to shift from evacuation to lockdown or one of the armed intruder actions if necessary. If the alarm sounds in your building and you see nothing that indicates the need for lockdown, you should calmly exit the building and proceed to the campus evacuation area. As indicated on the campus map, the evacuation area is in the big open area east of the Learning Resource Center. If for some reason you are not able to make it to the campus evacuation area, you should move to some other open area away from impacted buildings. You should remain in the campus evacuation area or alternate open area until you receive an all clear or further instruction. We ask that you do not attempt to leave campus in your vehicle unless instructed to do so. A mass exit of vehicles may create a traffic jam that impedes access of emergency vehicles to campus. Your travel route to the campus evacuation area will vary based on where you were located at the time of the evacuation alarm. Preferred routes are indicated on the maps posted throughout the campus and should be reviewed as part of your personal emergency preparation. When evacuating, please try to avoid walking in parking lots, fire lanes, or other areas that may impede the arrival of emergency personnel and equipment. If you happen to be in the science and math building during an evacuation, please do not use the elevator. You may become trapped due to power failure or elevator damage from the event. If you are the last person to leave a room or building, try to close doors on your way out. This will help stop or slow the spread of fire and smoke. However, do not stop to lock doors. Taking time to lock doors can increase your risk of injury. Don't worry about the stuff in the building. Your life is more important. Locked doors also impede the ability of firefighters and police to quickly access and move through the buildings, and can increase their risk of injury. Damage to locked doors that must be forced open by first responders can also be extensive and expensive to repair. Please remember that an emergency in one campus building may not mean that other buildings need to be evacuated. If there is an alarm but not from your building, consider whether you should evacuate your building or just shelter in place. Do not evacuate unless you see fire spreading toward you or some other immediate threat to your safety. Shelter in place can protect you from smoke and other hazards, including arriving emergency vehicles. Please remember that during an evacuation, staff or students with injuries or disabilities may need your assistance to get out of the building. Also, if you know that you will require assistance during an evacuation, please discuss your need with others in advance so they can be prepared to help you. Don't be a sheep and just follow the herd. The way you and everyone else got into a building may not be the safest, closest, or fastest way to get out in an emergency. Make it a habit to always identify alternate exits and have a plan to not be part of the crowd stacked up at the main exit. This is especially important when you're in buildings that you're not familiar with. Practice makes perfect, and Porterville College is committed to preparing staff and students to respond appropriately to campus emergencies. To help meet this goal, we will establish and conduct a variety of emergency drills each semester. These emergency drills will allow us to evaluate our emergency procedures, assess our emergency preparedness, test alarm and communication systems, and practice and improve our overall emergency response plan under simulated conditions. Please help us become better prepared for emergencies by actively participating in future campus training and drills. Your support is truly appreciated. This concludes today's presentation. Thanks for joining us.